The NF Foundation, in addition to supporting research, coordinates much of the information gathered on all aspects of NF, including the clinical aspects of the disorder, the number and types of mutations that are discovered, and is responsible for coordinating the distribution of specimens and information worldwide at this point.
The National Neurofibromatosis Foundation's mission remains unchanged from what it was at the very beginning. It is A, to support, initiate, and manage research aimed at finding a cure for NF. 2, to generate public education about neurofibromatosis. 3, to provide good, reliable, up-to-date, and accurate information to patients and families, and to serve the patients and families with such support mechanisms as support groups, literature, annual medical meetings that they can attend, referrals to specialists.
The local chapter serves as a support group, sort of a place to turn locally if you need somebody to talk to or need help finding a doctor. Somebody else in the area probably knows a doctor that they can refer you to that knows about NF. So just having somebody local in the state that you can talk to helps.
One of the highest priorities of the foundation is to make inroads with the medical profession about neurofibromatosis. It is a sad thing to realize day in and day out when you get the telephone calls from patients and families how little there is known about NF among medical professionals, doctors, nurses, social workers, psychologists.
People should get involved in the foundation because it's a way, one of the best ways I know of to keep up to date on what's happening in research. And also, I think the figure is something like 70% of the money that goes to the National Foundation goes directly into research. It doesn't go to advertising, it doesn't go to paying somebody in a fancy office. It goes right to the research towards finding a cure or bettering tests to detect it.
I've been working with the National Neurofibromatosis Foundation for close to 15 years now, much of the time of its existence. I've felt that the foundation is an enormously valuable resource for families, for individuals affected with neurofibromatosis, and has really been in many ways the glue that has held the international research community together to stimulate advances in neurofibromatosis and to be sure that they're applied in the clinical arena just as soon as possible. Well, the international scientific and medical community is intimately involved and in close contact with one another in the fight against neurofibromatosis. There is an international consortium for researchers which meets once per year and discusses research advances. This is met in the U.S., in Europe, and in Asia. There is an international NF1 genetic analysis consortium where we track gene mutations identified by investigators around the world. And there's also a worldwide NF clinic network, which allows clinicians around the world, and this is on virtually all the continents, to be in contact with each other.
My advice to parents who find out that their children have NF is not to despair. I think that our daughter Martha, who is married, she works full-time, she is severely hearing impaired, she seems to lead a good, normal life. She's a happy young woman. The diagnosis in the beginning may seem to you to be the end of the world, but it isn't, and you will all survive.
Explaining to a child that they have neurofibromatosis is one of the most difficult challenges that a parent faces, and my advice is to be open and honest with a child, that a child who is old enough to ask questions is old enough to get straightforward and honest answers within the limits of what the parent believes that the child is able to understand. The most important thing to remember, I believe, in neurofibromatosis is that at least 2/3 of the time it's a relatively mild disorder that can be associated with good health and excellent function.
I guess if I was giving advice to somebody young with the disease, I guess I would just say, just accept it and live with it, and don't let it run your life. Just live your life to its fullest and just put the NF in the background if you can.
I think that one of the first things that you should do when you're diagnosed with NF is to get as much information as possible, then bring it to your child's school, to his classroom, and present it to the teachers and the students, the kids in his class, so they understand exactly what it is.
I would like to tell young adults that time is on your side, that first of all, the manifestations of neurofibromatosis type 2 tend to be very slow to develop. Years and years can go by, even decades, before major medical problems occur. And meanwhile, researchers all around the world are working feverishly to try to understand what's going on in NF2 and to find ways of treating it. So I can be confident that over the course of the next few years, major advances will be made in terms of diagnosis and treatment.
I think that this disease made us a stronger family. I think that there are positive aspects of it. People rise to the occasion. I think that my daughter is courageous beyond her years. I think she's dealt with this amazingly well. And I think she set the direction in which we all went, and that was that she wasn't going to be defeated by this. She was going to win.
There has never been greater hope for the ability to provide better means of treatment, better means of diagnosis. And so individuals with neurofibromatosis who may have felt neglected and forgotten over the decades past can really know now that the world is focusing on this disorder and is going to make it go away.
There's every reason for parents and people who have this disorder to feel optimistic about the future. There is an enormous amount of research ongoing about NF. We've discovered enormous amounts about how the genes for NF1 and NF2 work, how the gene products function, and I am personally optimistic that in the next 5 to 10 years we will develop specific treatments for both NF1 and NF2.
We hope that people will understand how important the research is and how important it is to give and give and give as much money as you possibly can. Someday, hopefully, there will be a cure or a preventative for this disease, and that would be the most wonderful thing in all the world.